welcome to the only show that brings you all the updates when it comes to issues pertaining to diplomacy and international relations, diplomatic affairs. My name is Harriet Nati. The show is coming off on the platforms of Pan-African Television, and also you can watch us or join us globally via Facebook and YouTube. So like I always say, wherever you find yourself, you can always join us for us to get interactive on this show. Welcome back. The show is Diplomatic Affairs. My name is Harriet Nati. Now, there's a very interesting segment that we have created on this platform, and we are so excited about it because it means that every Saturday you get to know all the things happening when it comes to EU and the Republic of Ghana. Now, this platform is called EU in the Spotlight. I'm sure by now you already have an idea of what I'm talking about. So it means that a slot has been created on the show to document events or activities between the European Union and the Republic of Ghana when it comes to relationship between these two partners. Now we will be talking about what transpired at the residence of the European Union, and we want you to know this so that you expect this every now and then. This week we will be bringing you an interview of some Ghanaian nationals who have benefited from the European Union's educational fund in their field of study. Now we were at the residence, and these are people who did their masters and of course doctorates as well. So we were able to sit down with them and have a chit chat. But guess what? I wasn't the one who conducted the interview. We had a very special presenter, yes, who took this job. So let's get to the residents of the European Union and discover more about the EU's funding when it comes to education, in this case with a particular focus to Ghana and the EU relations. We have a new segment that we have introduced on Diplomatic Affairs, and it is dubbed EU in the Spotlight. EU in the Spotlight seeks to chronicle activities of the European Union here in Ghana. Mainly, we will be talking about the many initiatives that the European Union is embarking on when it comes to its relationship with Ghana. And today is a very interesting episode because we will be highlighting on the EU's decision or initiative to fund some 19 students who actually studied at the various tertiary institutions, and they undertook their masters and of course PhD programs. That was in 2020. Now 2025 they have graduated from school, and we want to know how the program went and of course how the initiative undertaken by the European Union also contributed to a successful education. And that is what we'll be talking about. But guess what? I'm not doing this all by myself. I have head of the European Union mission here or delegation in Ghana, and he is our special presenter on this episode. So I'm going to connect with him and let the conversation begin.
Welcome to a special edition of EU in the Spotlight. Today we have 4 formidable guests who have benefited from a specific project dedicated to agriculture. When you think of agriculture, you are thinking of irrigation, seeds, fertilizer. This time around, as I said, the European Union is investing in the future of the country, so it invests in the minds, knowledge, and education of fellow Ghanaians. We have 4 guests. Good day, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
We have David Kwai, we have Rakiba Isham, we have Francis Opetete and Esther Darimani. They have a very interesting story to share today. They have benefited from a program which helped them to graduate master's degree, in the case of David, a PhD here in Ghana, University of Ghana. And you will have to tell us, Esther, what is SDD in the Western region? Upper West region, but those students slash scholars just graduated, and we wanted to pause and take time to explain why we do invest in that regard for the sake of dissemination, information gathering, and possibly policy making. Let us begin with you. Can you share us what is the topic of your research, your thesis, and what are the main findings that you have made so far?
Okay, thank you very much. So, my thesis was on the topic climate change, migration, and social transformation on gender, and it was taken in the Wa West district of the Upper West region in Ghana. So during the study, I came across a lot of beautiful and interesting findings. Personally, I grew up in the north, that is the northern part of Ghana, but I, in a way, didn't get the opportunity to delve much into the rural communities in northern Ghana. I was a bit fortunate to be somewhere in the urban, within the northern Ghana. So this gave me an opportunity to interact with typical rural folks within the Wa West district. And when I went in, I came across a lot of interesting findings, particularly on gender and social transformation. In the past, we all grew up to come to terms that gender roles are patriarchal in nature. And with my findings, I came to the realization that to some extent, these are changing, though not very significant, but we could see some small changes that are coming up, such that we are now seeing women taking up some previously male-dominated areas, and then the men too are to some extent to subdue. I don't know whether to say subdue or, but yes, that's it.
So this is the social transformation.
Yes, so they are now somehow helping women in so-called female-dominated areas. So with this, even though the changes weren't that much significant, but you can see it's coming up in bits. So which to this, I see it as social transformation taking place. And another issue too, I came to the realization was the fact that when it comes to migration issues in the rural communities where I did my study, I came to the realization that before, men were those involved in this migration because of climate-related issues. But right now, women are coming up, and you see them also migrating. Unlike previously, they were migrating to the south, mainly because of issues of Kaya. That is the headquarter girls, popularly called the Kaya in Ghana. But right now, they are migrating because of climate-related issues.
Interesting.
Yes, they are migrating because of climate-related issues. And unlike before that, it was mainly men. However, when they migrate, they don't get to stay for longer periods like their male counterparts would do. Per my research, I came out with the findings that females stay for at least a month. When they migrate, they stay for a month because they have children at home they have to go back and attend to. Whereas the men, they feel like they don't have much responsibility. They can stay as long as more than 3 months.
Okay, they still have to take care of their household. We will come back to that.
Okay.
We would like to hear from Francis. What are your studies? What are your main findings? And maybe your recommendations in policy making?
Thank you very much. So my name is Francis Opaitete, and I worked on my migration and agricultural transformation in the Nandom district. So I worked in Nandongpen, Bilgam, and Dabotin communities. So I collected data from across these 3 communities. It was an amazing experience. My community entry was superb. I had to go to the chief's palace. He had to fetch a calabash of water and pour libation to grant me access into the community. And that was my first experience, and that was nice. So yes, I realized that seasonal migration within Bilgam, Nadongpeng, and Dabotin was real, widespread, and multifaceted. I also realized that yes, the driving force for the area was drought, was one, low soil fertility, and very low social infrastructure. These were the things that were causing people to move out of the community. And predominantly, let me talk about the drought. You realize that the northern sector has a prolonged dry season with a very short and rainfall pattern. So during the dry season, they become a bit available. So they have to move out so that they can work and make some ends meet. So climate change is a serious driver in that sense. Talk about benefit. The research discovered that there are social benefits in that people, when they go there, some of them send remittances. But the remittances I saw there is not often in money, financial remittances. They will go out there during the dry season, they'll go and work, and when the rain season is the onset of the rain season, they will return to the community. And the money they've made working down south, they use it to buy agrochemicals, sometimes food items that are not available in the community, and work too. So sometimes they don't send money, but they use the money and to buy resources to go farm input to go and farm. I also noticed that there are not agrochemical shops or agro input shops within those communities. So that's probably one of the reasons why they need to buy those items from where they went and come back home. Dalborton in particular, the chief, when I engaged him in an in-depth conversation, he made me aware that some time ago they used to farm on a piece of land for a very long time. But when some of the returned migrants came and said, no, you don't do that. You have to divide your land into paddocks or blocks. You farm here, let this side rest, and then you can plant some legumes there and farm here, and then you rotate the crops. When they adopted that strategy, they realized that they got a better yield as compared to the previous. So there was some level of technology transfer in there.
New practices.
New practices.
Okay.
Yeah. But one thing that I also discovered is that those who migrate during the dry season to go and work down south, some of them come back very, very tired and sometimes even very sick. And the money that they went down there to make, they either come use it to treat themselves. So you realize that the benefit is kind of complex. It's not straightforward. There's no straightforward benefit, and there are also some ongoing challenges when it comes to the benefits realized from all of that. By way of policy recommendation, I want to say that an irrigation dam between Nandom municipality and Biligan, because between Nandom and Biligan, I saw a swampy area or a wetland that could be easily be converted into an irrigation dam. I'm saying this because I also discovered in my study that there's a nearby community called, I've forgotten the name, but it's close to the Volta River, and government policy created a dam there. So this time, most of them do not travel down south. They've bought motorbikes. So they travel to go and work at the river bank because there's an irrigation dam there. And then in the evening, they come back home to rest. So this means that if there is an irrigation dam and irrigation input shops within Bilgam, Nandongpen, and Dalborton, then definitely we'll be able to slow down the movement, the migration within the area.
Okay, we'll leave it at that stage. We'll
Thank
move
you.
to Esther because I'm impressed by the level of information analysis that you have been gathering, which is very specific, area specific, sometimes technology specific, and I'm pretty sure this is something that can make a difference in the policy making and in the realm of agriculture. Esther.
Yes, thank you. Yes, my research was based on gender adaptation strategies among smallholder farmers within the Laura municipality, also in the Upper West region. So major findings from my study, as my colleagues have already said, they have been changed over the years, 10, 20 years to come. So by my major research insight was basically based on gender, how men and women are adapting their way through this climate change impacts that they have been experiencing over the years. And I've realized that it has come to stay. Men have come to accept women being farmers over the years, having their own piece of land to cultivate and harvest and say that this is my yield, this is my crop.
So like Rakiba, you have seen that, I would say, gender attributed role
Yes.
is evolving
It's evolving.
because of the climate change?
Because of the climate change,
Okay.
because men are thinking like they can't do it all alone. They need the support.
Men, they believe they can
Yes.
do everything alone.
Yes, and the women are doing very well. They are doing very well when it comes to agriculture in that area. And you can see most NGOs, development partners are trying to push more women to empower them to do more, because when they are benefiting, the whole family is benefiting. They involve themselves into other alternative livelihood activities like trading and other stuff, like during the dry seasons where there is no rain, because they don't have that strength to do this irrigation stuff, because they will tell that the men have the strength. And even the area I did my research, there is a water, the black water, and they do fishing as well. So they said that, oh, women, we can't go there and do the fishing. So we involve ourselves in the trading so that we get. And then they also cultivate the habit of saving, which they plow back into the farming as well, to buy seedlings, to get labor to work on their farms, and also buy other agricultural input. So for policy making, men are much trying to get more yield, increase yield. It's like what I've seen for the trend is that when you go this year, you ask, they say, oh, the climate is changing, it's getting worse, we didn't get any yield. The following year you go, they will tell that it's getting worse. It's like there's no improvement. So I think it's not, now climate change has come to stay. While policy makers and then decision people that are in the way to development partners can do is to continue building the capacity of farmers, smallholder farmers, training through workshop trainings and equipping them with the capacity to be able to adapt to climate change as the years are going on, because it's not going back, it's coming to stay.
So this is what you are saying is, as the climate change is for real
For
first,
real.
and it's not
Yes.
living, you have to adapt
Yes.
the practices and
So-
maybe the type of crops. or what?
Crops, yeah, resiliencies. What you may adapt today might change tomorrow. You may use it and it will not work because there have been changes again. And then I think we need to have a mindset of investing in the financing agriculture as well. I've realized that, especially, let me bring this in, like if you look at insurance policies, most of them are looking at house insurance, health insurance, but the agri aspect is very important.
Of course.
Yes, so policymakers should look at that, making sure that farmers insure their farms, and then like, let me say, climate change risk insurance, something like that, in case of poor harvest. Like last year, what just happened in the north? It took a long, the rain came early, farmers kept the crops in the ground, and it stopped.
And sorry
Nothing.
for my ignorance,
Yes.
but there are insurance companies who are currently covering farmers, or is it
No,
doesn't exist?
it doesn't exist.
Not even agricultural.
Go ahead.
Even the Agricultural Development Bank is no more interested in advancing loan facilities to farmers.
Okay. I
So it's a
understand.
problem. Even Agri Development Bank is not financing agricultural activities.
Okay,
How much
understand.
my insurance companies?
Okay.
They're interested in vehicles.
So we should look at that aspect and get even low insurance loans for them, especially
understand.
because when you go to the bank, they need a guarantee. You have to get,
Yeah,
and agriculture is just like a gamble. You are putting the seed here, praying that it will work. I'll apply everything, but if it doesn't work,
I
so
understand.
if we have policies that are flexible and geared towards that aspect with the smallholder farmer in mind, I
Okay.
think it will benefit the smallholder farmers going forward.
Let's move to David, who is, so for the viewers, David, all the scholars here just graduated from a master's degree, David from a PhD, so we are a bit impressed. David, tell us what is the topic of your thesis and the findings, and I mean, how does it contribute? How can it contribute to the knowledge and better, I would say, farming, agriculture, both at local level, national level?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I believe on behalf of my colleagues, I just want to say another thank you for affording us the privilege of embarking on this educational journey. And a lot of deep insights from my colleagues. My research touched on or focused on the interlinkages between climate change, migration, and social transformation.
Mhm.
And I believe that the principal finding was the estimated number of climate migrants that are expected to move from these climate vulnerable areas, particularly northern Ghana, into the urban centers in southern Ghana. I believe that this number is very significant, is necessary in policy making, and as well as planning development in northern Ghana. So by 2050, temperature is expected to go up by, average temperature in the country is expected to go up by 1 degree Celsius. And so if other factors are, without necessarily controlling for all other factors, about 2.6 million people are expected to migrate from northern Ghana because of climate change. And this is alarming because this is a workforce that is coming out from the communities. Already, some communities have been deprived of benefiting from certain projects because when the project implementers got there, there's supposed to be a certain number of able people who can work, those projects. And then when they do a head count, they don't meet that number, and so they move to the community. And it's not because they are not enough, but they've migrated.
Now this is a very serious, this is information, but I'm not sure how well known it is in the public domain.
Yeah.
I'm struck by the figure. And this migration is mostly due to the fact that farming is not possible anymore, or what is the cause of the migration?
She just said that now when you put seed in the ground, it's a gamble.
Mm.
and that is what it's about. I mean, in my interviews with some of the farmers, they said that, for example, in March, back then, they'll be able to plant certain crops, even in the north, as early as March, and then by April, they'll be harvesting. And then the rainy season starts towards April, May, June. That is when it's sort of established in the north. And at that time, they are planting another crop. But even now, as it stands, in April, May, June, the rains have not even started for even to even plant the first crop. So it's really like a gamble. And the migration is really, as I said, is intensifying. And I mean, Rakiba talked about, and Esther as well, the transformations in the gender. So agric extension officers, usually when they take these new technology, climate smart agriculture practices and all that to the farmers, it's important to now focus a lot more on women, because when you go there, they are now available. Most of the men in the dry season have migrated. And then there are new practices that are coming across, for example, dry season gardening. So in the dry season, this is when most migration takes place, as Francis said. But then there are techniques that can help them to farm during the dry season. And most men, when the agric extension officers would show them this technique, would sort of resist. But they found out that women were more open to new practices when they are brought into and trained and all that. So women are very important agents of transformation, and as a recommendation, I think policy making should center a lot on women, particularly in northern Ghana, and then also capacity building, both for farmers, as some of my colleagues have said, and agriculture extension officers as well. And additionally, when you look at the numbers that are migrating, it's affecting development and social transformation. And what happens is that development planners, they are aware of what's going on, but they are not able to properly do certain analysis to be able to see what's really happening and how they can offset some of the negative transformations that are going on and even sustain the positive ones. So development planners as well need to be educated. They need their capacity to be enhanced to be able to tackle these issues.
Let's go back here. I wanted to specify to the viewers that the main focus area of your research is between migration, gender, resilience in the face of climate change. And for us, European Union, of course, it's interesting to contribute to advance and reinforce knowledge, scientific knowledge, evidence-based policies, but as well to be able to listen to your findings and to adjust our project, because this is one part of a very large agriculture project I've mentioned. It's 135 million euros grants. We have irrigations, we have practices, we have infrastructure, you have agro-transformation, you name it. But it's pointless if between the moment we have designed the project and the moment it's rolled out, you know, the circumstances have dramatically changed. So for me, it's really refreshing to hear from you. And I want to specify it's not only the 4 of you, it's 18 youngsters who have benefited from the program. And I'm really excited to hear and to realize the extent of knowledge analysis that you have gathered and which will benefit. You're not working for a project, but I'm pretty sure that what you are doing will impact positively our project, others, players' project, and possibly the national policy making in the face of climate change, which unfortunately is here to stay and to which we need to adapt. So Rakiba, what will be your additional recommendation?
So just like you rightly said, climate change is here to stay. So I'll recommend to a lot of institutions and organizations to invest in research-oriented approaches. Just like we all shared our findings, you realize there are uniqueness in each finding. And Ghana, as we are in, Ghana can be mainly divided into 3 subparts. That is the northern belt, the middle belt, and the southern belt. So what is happening?
Based on the climate?
Yes, based on the climate.
Okay.
So what is happening in northern Ghana based on climate might be totally different from that of the middle and southern belt. So if we invest more in research-oriented approaches, we'll find strategic evidences from these findings, use those, and then come out with strategies that will help not to get rid completely of climate change, because I doubt it is something man can control, but it will help us to come with strategies that are friendly to handle either of these divisions within the Ghanaian sections in relation to the climate change. So I'm hammering more research-based evidences to buttress these points.
So to understand better what is at play and
Yes.
be in a better position,
And be in a better position to
adapt.
address these challenges as they differ from each zone within the country.
Back to Francis.
Thank you, His Excellency. One of the things I discovered also has to do with the norm, the cultural norm of the people within the study area. I discovered that when my interest was migration and agricultural transformation, but I realized that still up to the time I went there, land ownership was still not available to the women in the community. And like my colleagues have all said, when they migrate, they leave, majority of them leave the women behind. And I also noticed my study that over 85% of the migrants were married men. Very few of them carried their women along. So as you have migrated and the women still do not have land ownership, it's also one of the things I discovered, that it did not help with agricultural transformation within the Nandom district. By and large, like I said, everything is said and done. The people just need things to kind of cushion them against the effects of the climate change, so they can stay within the community and help to develop the community. If by way of government intervention, we are able to put some of these things in the community for them. Yes, Nandongpen, Beligam, and Dabotin, these three communities that are not in the same area, have only one school. So the school is located in Nandongpen. So if you are in Bilgam, you have to come there to school. If you are in Dabot, you must come to Bilgam. And the clinic is also like that. So if we want the people to stay, then we will have to increase the social amenities for the community, and that can encourage the people to.
And livelihood and sustenance agriculture and large commercial agriculture, are they equally exposed or equally impacted by the climate change?
Yeah, for what I discovered is that land ownership is kind of a challenge towards commercialization of agriculture in the area. In the sense that the lands are small ownership of land, the lands are highly fragmented among family members. You understand, based on the inheritance arrangement of the people there. So it makes it relatively a bit difficult for, and I also noticed when I went there, I did not see cattle.
Okay.
Yeah, I did not see herds of cattle, and I asked where the Fulani issue, was it a problem there? They said no. Normally when the men migrated, the community becomes vulnerable to thieves. So they come to steal the cattle out. And that's why they do not have cattle there. Very interesting issues within the community. So yes, like I am saying, Nandongpen is a very beautiful community of hard-working farmers. In fact, I met people there who are returned migrants. They left there to go and work as miners at the Ashanti, Anglo-Gold Ashanti. They're on retirement, they've come back home to build their living there comfortably. They are nice, hard-working people. But if government can actually cushion them to be able to withstand the changes in the climate, they will be able to stay and contribute their quota to the development of the area. Thank you.
Is there?
Yes. Yes, to add to what I've said earlier, I think all the research we did they are interesting findings if you take a look at it. But that is what's the issue we have in this country when it comes to research. After doing the research, it ends up in the shelves, and then no one goes to look at it and take to informed decision.
But it's not only in Ghana, you know.
Okay, fine. Yes.
A research which is contracted by your left hand will be put by your right hand on the shelf.
Okay,
you know, this is
okay, now I get it. Yes, but I think investing in research is really important to start with. So before you do everything, I always tell myself everything is research, and research is everything, because if you don't know, if you don't ask, you end up doing something that has already been done or that the people will not even accept. So you go into and ask and get what you need to take away and what you can give.
But this is something which is very interesting. I'm not sure exactly how it works. You said that over the years the practices have evolved. Across the world, including in Europe, you know, you have always this tension between traditional practices, we have done like that over decades, centuries, and what research brings as hard evidence that you should do this differently, different work, I don't know, whatever. How would you describe the resistance, or on the contrary, the ability of the community to embrace this type of change?
Yes. So they will embrace it if you get them involved. If you go and impose it on them, they'll reject it in front of you. They are white elephants, let me say, like projects that people just go to give to the community. You think that it should be working, but they were not engaged in the planning process, the beginning. So before a development partner or any project is sent to a community, you have to sit with the people, get their ideas. They have interesting ideas because they are living in the community. They know what is wrong with them, and it might interest you for you to get interesting suggestions on how to solve their problem. Maybe they just don't have the capacity to do so. So when you get them involved, the project will be sustainable. You get them from the planning process. You let them know what the whole aim of the project is about, what they can contribute. Let them own it. You are just kind of cushioning them, giving them the backup support. Let them feel that this is our project, and it will be sustainable. my colleague here mentioned about irrigation dams or something. You see, even if you go and put it there without their authorized, no, like getting them involved at the initial stage, maybe where to site it and all those things, it will be there and they will never use it, and the migration will keep on going. So policymakers, development partners should make research an important tool in their working space and whatever they do for communities and societies.
Very interesting. David,
So,
how to make sure then that the evidence, the research, the scientific work, etc., is feeding in the policy making, the decision making? Is it something that you have seen during your research, or is it something you are been working on? Or because with a PhD, I'm pretty sure you have accumulated a huge deal of information, analysis, etc., etc. How to translate that into policies or practices?
Thank you very much. I believe that there's the need to sit researchers and policymakers down in the same room, and then break down the figures, the numbers, and all that into, actionable things. And I believe that if policymakers get it, they are going to run with it. So, for example, I talked about the number of climate migrants. So globally, IOM, International Organization for Migration, they estimate that about 100 million in 2050 people will move
Globally.
around. Yeah. And so they also provide regional statistics for sub-Saharan Africa, and that is about 30 to 70 million people. But then when you come to local context, there was none. And that was one gap that my research has been able to fill. So, yeah, when you take this number now to policymakers, now it makes more sense to them, rather than
It's
telling
not
them
abstract
regional.
figures coming from
It's not
IOM.
abstract.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. And so we should be in the same room and communicate a lot more. Producing evidence-based research, I think, would bridge
Okay.
that gap that we're trying to cover.
Okay. So I think this brings this EU in the spotlight, but today it's you, Ghanaian researchers in the field of migration, gender, and resilience and climate change in the spotlight. I wanted to share with the viewers what is a specific aspect of what we are trying to advance. What we are trying to advance is the knowledge stays in Ghana and benefits the Ghanaians, community, the policy making, the infrastructure, so on and so forth. And once again, I would like to congratulate you for
Thank
the
you.
incredible academic journey and urge you to do everything possible to put your knowledge and experience available to the betterment of this sector, because as we say, climate change is here to stay. It's already affecting the communities, already affecting the economy of the country. And if there is something that we can partner with the Ghanaian state administration as the European Union, we are doing it, but we believe that, as you've mentioned, Esther, it will be even more impactful if the Ghanaian actors themselves are embracing the change and are at the origin of the policies. So for that, thank you very much. Congratulations again. And I
Thank you.
wish you the best for the immediate future after your graduation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And this is how this special EU in the Spotlight show ends. I leave it back to Harriet. Thank you for the invitation, Harriet. And I hope you have enjoyed the show and the content from our guest today.
Well, I'm sure that was a very, very insightful segment, and you enjoyed that. Like I mentioned, this is going to be happening every now and then. It's a special segment that we have created just to bring you all the updates exclusively when it comes to bilateral relations or engagements between the Republic of Ghana and the European Union. Right, so all too soon, this is where we bring the show to an end. My name is Harriet Nate. It is always a pleasure to have your company, and we look forward to hosting you same time next week. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye-bye.